and trying to go for value when we were not in position initially to do so anyway. Very heads-up play by them by forcing that fight, recognizing, seeing Goku on the Haka on that map, and then taking a win right here. Impressive play by SPT, truly.
Yeah, and behind that, Roll20 had 2 tributes. So there was a possibility of them trying to get back in with a, well, they're going to get back into this series in a different way if they have their hand in it, but with that counter curse, counter curse. Now, they would have had to keep someone back, and they would have had to play that very safely because of the threat of a backdoor. So it was a rough situation, but I think the best thing that can be said from that is SPT started that curse and not getting a fight, took a big gamble, realized that the best thing that they could do was just keep being aggressive, not fall back to their passive play, keep going, realized that with just a couple of kills they got the keeps and then could keep on going to that and they got the core.
And fortune favors the bold. And certainly SPT were bold in that core attempt.
Oh yeah.
And fortune shone in their way. Got the core with just a few percentage to spare. Now Roll20 and what we've started to call a North American special take us to Warhead Junction. How could we forget the Warhead Junction play at HGC Finals at the BlizzCon 2017, just a mere month ago, where North Americans showed the world that you can win this map in 6 minutes with Morales Zarya.
Wow.
And here we go.
This is just pure anger.
This is just pure adrenaline.
We've had enough. We should not be in this position, but there you have it. There you are. We are.
They're going with it, and as much as people may sometimes call this the forbidden word, cheese. Cheese is something that only works once. Once your opponent knows how to counter it, it doesn't work anymore. Easy to execute, easy to make it work. Generally, this is how people define a cheese. We do not yet know if this is actually truly the best way to play this map. It barely gets played. If it is the best way to play this map and no one can counter it and it continues to get wins, it is not a cheese anymore. It is the way to play the map. Vastly different map, ergo different rules.
Would like to see SPT get somebody here who can keep up with the kind of boss pressure and race bosses. A Vala or a Greymane is who I wanted to see, and they deliver with getting Shen Xiao's Vala. They also get Arthas. They have ETC, a good defense hero, if there ever becomes a point that Roll20 is suddenly on their core with the Feel the Heat Zarya. But also would like to maybe see them even ban out Greymane there as a possibility. I'm not sure.
By SPT, right?
Yes, SPT banned Greymane now from that too. Because the idea from this is that Roll20 wants early bosses, early siege. And then they, with the first boss, take out a keep. If they can't get core from that, they go even further along, and then the next boss, they take that boss, and then they win the game from that. They put their opponents on a timer. So it's up to SPT to recognize this and realize that this was the downfall of CE at BlizzCon.
Now the reason Illidan gets banned here is because Roll20, first of all, running heavy auto attacks, which are ineffective against either Cassia or Illidan due to the blind and evasion respectively. And secondly, Illidan can be global. He pushes like a workhorse on a solo lane, and Roll20 is going to ignore certain lanes in this game. They're not going to play heroes in the traditional way, 1-1-3 split, etc. It's going to be a lot of grouping, and Illidan pushes too hard by himself. So does Zagara, by the way. SPT would be, I think, having a really good benefit taking Zagara, but let's see. And so they ban these out. And Roll20 now needs something that does good siege damage. Vala's gone, which would be a primary pick. Artana's amateur opponent, Greymane, would be two pretty solid options.
The ban on D.Va, it's one of those theoretically infinite heroes that you can just keep going and siege with, and that's sort of the idea from that. You get the extra burst of self-destruct, as well as the zoning time from that to allow you to siege even further. So that was a nice ban, heads up from SPT. And I don't know, Grubby, if I've ever seen Roll20 run this with Artanis before, but that was such a good call, recognizing that that's possible. Every once in a while, Goku will bust him out, and this might actually end up being the justing Artanis. We'll have to see from that what they want from the last one.
Roll20 putting all their cards on the table. I'm all in, they said. And SPT do show that they recognize what is happening with the D.Va ban, removing those infinite sustain heroes. That's part of Morales' and Zarya's duty, but Morales has a second duty, of course. It could be Stim Drone, actually, to take bosses fast, take keeps out fast, but probably Roll20 wants to hold on to the possibility of picking up 1, 2, or 3 tactical nukes and using Medivac to make their way. The fastest point from A to B is a straight line, and fly in that medevac and go take out a keep or a core like that. Good tools against this.
There is always
Falstad? Ariel Lucio.
I thought a Falstad would be for sure too, but they still needed their support, and they'll end up with a double.
This is Tyrael, right?
That's what I thought.
Or the Haka. Either Tyrael was sanked, so you can do that keep core
Yes.
all in with medevac, or you get the Haka and you say we keep our 4-man intact and the Haka can join from across the map. I believe it's only those two options really that are being discussed here. Could do Vikings too, by the way. SPT's team is actually really weak against Vikings.
I don't know if Roll20 will ever run Vikings again in at least for a while.
Draft-wise, it's such a good pick now. Are they comfortable with it? Or are the echoes of HCC finals too painful? This is different. This is a different case, of course.
And why is it that you want Vikings here?
I mean, SPT doesn't have any Viking hunters. If they are played well, you can keep up with experience, keep your 4-man intact, and play off of vision. Do you not see any of the members of SPT pull your 4-man back? Do you see them push aggressively?
Yeah, it's just that it's not about all the lanes and soaking from that. It's about one lane and clearing that lane just as fast as humanly possible, which Medivh helps enable. He has the Force of Wills for extra sustaining with Morales and Zarya. Nobody's going to die. Artana shielding, that's a lot of safe power there. And then from that too, a leyline seal to buy some time for you to be able to siege.
Yeah. We have the last pick for Roll20. It's the last Guardian in potentially the last game for Roll20. Here in the lower bracket, 1-2 behind with a very strong last-ditch effort. A full protective push comp.
One thing that I want to see SPT do here, know the strategy, and don't use nukes willy-nilly. That is a huge problem that any
nukes
team...
willy-nilly?
No.
Okay, noted.
Get nukes, definitely.
Gonna look up that word too, noted.
Yes, but make sure that you are using them to get benefit. One thing that Tempo Storm taught all of the North American teams about Warhead Junction is Warhead usage. How you can combo them, how you stack them. Do not use them. Be patient with the Warheads. And I've seen so many Chinese teams pick this map and then be willing, even SPT, just to use it on a random fort.
Half a fort.
Yes.
Front wall.
That is not going to work.
So what do you
here.
save them for? Boss control?
Boss control.
Okay.
Boss control and the core, and you know, you can maybe use one on the keep, right? But you have to be patient with
and
those.
Also maybe in defense of your keep, potentially,
yes,
or a core.
Yeah, when I say core, it could be either one. You
Right,
could definitely use them as your defense, too. And here we go, Roll20, putting all their hope back into Warhead Junction.
So far, a split, not going to be that 4 to 5 man, would be the most obvious way to play it, and the most obviously punished. Arthur's ETC flanks can hurt so much. So instead, gonna pool their resources in different directions. Artanis with a slow solo lane, so it's Greymane, and a bit of push there. While Medivh scouts rotations.
What this does do is Medivh scouts. Goku with the Morales can keep pushing this hard with Feel the Heat. And they also have Artanis with the amateur opponent in the bottom. So if SPT don't play this reactively correctly, either way there's a win in lane for Roll20. And they're able to start working on the towers in one of those two boss lanes. It seems like in putting so many of the players of SPT in the top lane, Justing's starting to get the best of that in the bottom.
Yeah, he recognizes that indeed all those red portraits are showing on the top of the minimap, so he can push that lane. That also gives him time to go for Hellbat camps potentially if he would like to, which go up fairly early, about the 2-minute mark. Do you know when bosses become available? Is it 3 or 4 minutes? Somewhere around that time, I believe.
Yeah.
At any time, Roll20 could go straight for that with the heroes that they have. Feel the Heat, one of the best siege tools against boss as well.
What's working for SPT though is at least in the top lane, that Vala Ariel is keeping Roll20 at bay there, and Melody C rotates in for a gank on Cure, stuck in the Frozen Tempest. Greymane is not going anywhere as he's brought down in the mid just in time for the Warhead phase.
Very painful loss for Roll20 actually. Their draft doesn't really have great comeback potential in my opinion, so you can't really fall behind. Solo laners had to keep themselves safe.
And that
A lot of XP lost.
It lets Arthas go down to the bottom. No, that's fine. And Justin's already battling here with Soap. Uses the swap on Misaka, but he's not out of this yet. Howling Blast, another amazing one from Misaka, who's just been a beast, a terror on this Arthas. But with 2 warheads left, Roll20 seems to have stabilized enough that they haven't given any of the warheads yet. They have to give down in the bottom one, which means Roll20 is desperate for this top warhead.
Greymane comes up. Cure has pushed the lane, and he comes up, gets interrupted by Melody C, puts a bit of damage, and yeah, they're going to try and secure that nuke. And they have it.
Warhead used in the bottom, it seemed. No, the swap must have stalled that out from ETC.
Full energy all the time by Zarya. And there we see that nuke. Critical of that one, Gilly?
I mean, that one's fine. It's more like once you get into the second phase and beyond, holding on to all of those, because you do have to soften up a boss lane. That is how this strategy is played. And SPT may not... Their strategy may just simply be to stop Roll20 from being able to make that kind of aggressive play. As I say that...
Yeah, I mean, they're going for it. Zarya is putting the cards on the table, showing up pocket aces. Does SPT have something to deal with this? They see it. In comes Lucio. That's a 3-man. In comes Greymane. Artanis. It's all 5 of Roll20. And this is what keeps catching people off guard. The swap on Ariel!
Swap on Ariel. Melody C losing a lot of health too as Roll20 continues the chase, forcing back SPT. Roll20 has the nuke advantage here, but the boss was leashed. SPT has not brought ETC up yet.
They want level 7.
Having level 7 would be a nice advantage for this boss fight. Buds gets hit by a lot of the banelings, slowed down, has to get back into position, has good energy for this still as Roll20 gets this boss lower and lower. They are committed. Portal on the boss point, going back and forth, trying to juke around. It goes down, so does the nuke. Roll20 get the boss, and that's exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah, you know, I was a little bit unsure, I must admit. Zarya's positioning, but the portal cycling her out, back in, waiting for cooldowns. A lot of damage from field of heat, putting the pressure on Arthas. And despite being down a talent, such a good brawling team here for Roll20. They get the boss, they lose the nuke, and that's boss number 1. Now SPT showed up in force here. Nonetheless, they will be able to take it down fairly fast. Actually...
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, Hungering Arrow, did you mention that it wasn't picked?
Oh, it was not.
That's so interesting, you know, you're going up against this very heavy boss-focused style. You don't pick up the Hungering Arrow, instead the multi-shot.
It does favor Ariel Hope Generation a lot more, so if they are more of the just, we're going to make sure that we keep the team fight going. The best thing for SPT there, yeah, they lost the boss, but they did so much damage to Roll20 that they forced them back very quickly. Melody C trying to speed down to check and see if Roll20 are on this boss point. Protective portals down. Roll20 don't have this just yet. Misaka's on this point.
Justin tried to go for the swap play, doing the swap away, trying to do the phase prism on Arthas.
Arthas is just sitting on these points. The boop is perfect from Melody C. Gets Roll20 off of the boss. SPT steals the boss. They take out Buds.
Lieutenant Morales gets taken out. It's trouble here. Trouble for Roll20. They save all the rest due to a very key portal here. But what a play. Had Justin's phase prism hit on Artanis, they would have certainly won this boss fight, but it missed. Arthas slightly too far away. The combo he was going for was to use the blade dash away. Oh. Cool play on Chen Xiao, takes a bit of tower damage. Yeah, to do the blade dash away, throw out Phase Prism, to do a melee swap. Justin, again, fancy play on Chen Xiao, no follow-up, means SPT gets another kill. They have a boss push. Roll20 is losing a bit of control of this game.
They're
3
losing.
nukes too.
Yeah, a lot of control of this game. SPT has a mega push bot, half a boss. They get the Hellbats too. Using the nukes, only one used there. It is on the towers. But the boss is also halfway down in health, so they want to soften these up as much as they can. They still have 2 nukes for this possible keep push, especially with heroic abilities. Did they use both? They just used the one.
Use the one more available.
Yeah, definitely
they're going core.
That.
That means they're going core.
Yeah, they can go core. They have
level
heroic abilities. They haven't used any of them. Oh, Rain of Vengeance now. This is so scary for Roll20. They have to defend their core. There is one nuke down. Roll20 do have the one to try to defend, but they can't lose any single member or they will lose this series and be out of this game. Core has not lost any of the shielding yet. Force of Will keeping Justin alive as he blade dashes, hoping to stay alive, but he goes down. SPT still on the core. Mosh stopped. Goku, everyone from Roll20 hoping to stop SPT, but still still the core is going down. Sound barrier now used by SPT. SPT seems to have done it. They have been able to get through the North American Warhead Junction strategy to take out Roll20 and move on in the bracket.
GG, very well played here by SPT, dispelling the demons of their earlier performance in the group stage. A 3-1 victory over their North American counterpart. Disassembling the North American famous Warhead strategy with patient play, giving away boss number 1, yes, but then that crucial steal with the Soundwave on the second boss into the nukes and the very definitive core all in. A crushing defeat here for Roll20, but they have learned much during their stay in China, going back into HCC North America 2018.
They learned a lot, but this is where the end of the line is for Roll20. But importantly for SPT, I cannot stress enough how hard it had to be to go through the group stage the way that they were in, only get victories over the Chinese teams, have a lot of doubt put on them from the other Chinese teams, from the Chinese fans, even the Chinese commentators potentially, and be able to get that one win over Fnatic and not just stop there, keep running with it. Now 2 Chinese teams remain in this tournament, CE and SPT, and that has to feel good.
Yeah, guaranteed top 6 for those. Of course, BTG, even with their top 8 finish, had a better performance in that final match. So as the stakes go higher and higher, the Chinese players show more and more resilience, and that does feel good. We are in Beijing, China here, so they are playing for their home ground.
Yeah, and SPT, there are so many fans and people talking about how they felt like CE was the stronger team internationally, even though SPT always dominates their region. And I haven't been able to really talk to SPT, but just in talking to Tempo Storm, who I find was in a very similar situation this year, it's disheartening to not have your region believe in you like that. And so for this instance, getting a victory over Roll20, a fairly dominant one, right? 3-1, and being able to recognize and counter a strategy that has fallen some of the best teams in the world on that Warhead Junction. This is a huge win today for China and for SPT.
Yeah, very nice result here for SPT. They will continue to go on in that lower bracket round 2. We can see that SPT has their work cut out for them. Having the victory here over Roll20, they will face Fnatic, who lost 3-1 to world champion KSV. Dignitas will be going up against CE. They dropped down in a very exhilarating 2-3 series against Ballistics, and they are going to be going up against CE, who struggled past BTG, who looked like the rookie of the tournament.
Both of these series look really fantastic, but is this now the stopping point for China, or can either of these teams get a momentous upset? When I look at this though, I am thrilled because CE did take one single game off of Dignitas, drawing their best of 2, and so too did SPT versus Fnatic in their last series of the group stage. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Although both of them look like the underdog against the European adversaries, they have already drawn blood, metaphorically speaking, in those matches. So that's a very cool matchup coming up tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow. Look forward to those 2 matches. Thank you for hanging out with us here at the Gold Club World Championship. We'll be back with more awesome Heroes of the Storm play tomorrow. Good night.